Good evening and welcome to the College of Education debate. For tonight, I'm your moderator, Ms. Joanna Jason. Our theme matters to COVID 19. We are in the middle of this pandemic. We are going to hear different views about if vaccination is important or hazardous. This debate consists of two teams, the pros and the cons. Each speaker should deliver a 2 to 3 minute speech. Without further ado, let us meet our debaters. The in favor of the vaccination are Miss Joy Maris Marinda, Miss Heidelin Ortego, and Miss Christine Balva. And the group that says vaccination is hazardous are Miss Noemi Bensurto, Miss Trisha Faranda, and Mr. Randy Bohos. Let us open the debate. So let's hear the pros of our first presenter.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joyner D. Marinda, and I am the first speaker from the proposition team. We believe that vaccination is important. With that, here is my motion. Vaccination is a simple, safe, and efficient approach to protect yourself from dangerous diseases before they infect you. It strengthens your immune system by utilizing your body's inherent defenses to create resistance to particular illnesses. Vaccines teach your immune system to make antibodies in the same way that it does when you're exposed to a disease. According to its dictionary definition, importance is defined as the state or reality of being extremely important or valuable. On the other hand, vaccination refers to the process of administering a vaccine to induce disease immunity. Vaccination helps to develop immunity to a disease. In simpler words, vaccines in reality save lives and prevent disease from spreading. If you choose not to immunize your child, you are not only putting your child at risk but of contracting a serious or fatal disease, but you are also putting anyone who comes into touch with your child at risk. We must remember that getting vaccinated is more preferable to contracting the illness. Vaccines provide a protective barrier for children, families, and communities, especially the most vulnerable. Vaccines save up to 3 million lives each year by protecting youngsters from illness and death. Vaccines are also cost effective for the Philippines. Vaccines prevent sickness, allowing valuable resources to be allocated to building robust health systems. Vaccination can also help to build a stronger workforce and minimize productivity losses. COVID 19 vaccinations provide excellent protection against COVID 19, particularly severe disease and mortality. COVID 19 vaccinations can help to minimize the risk of persons transmitting the COVID 19 virus. According to studies, COVID 19 vaccinations have been shown to be beneficial, notably in preventing major illness, even if you do develop COVID 19. According to Statista Research Department, in the Philippines, about 23.98 million people have been completely vaccinated against the COVID 19 virus as of October 14, 2021, and approximately 27.5 million individuals, on the other hand, were still waiting for their second dosage of the vaccine. The Pfizer BioNTech and Moderna vaccines were shown to be 100% effective in avoiding serious disease in clinical studies. The Johnson and Johnson vaccination was shown to be 85% effective in preventing serious disease. The vaccinations are also effective against novel variants such as the Delta form that are starting to circulate. All three vaccinations, like the original strand, will protect you from serious disease and minimize the chance of hospitalization. In comparison to individuals who aren't vaccinated, vaccinated people who become sick had mild to moderate instances of COVID 19, according to studies. As a result, once you're fully vaccinated, your chances of being hospitalized or dying as a result of COVID 19 are low. To wrap everything up, vaccination is important. First, it will reduce the risk of getting serious diseases for both young and old generations. Second, getting vaccinated will not only protect you, but also the people around you, and that includes your family, friends, co-workers, and etc. In conclusion, COVID-19 vaccinations provide an excellent protection against the COVID-19, particularly severe disease and mortality. COVID-19 vaccinations can help to minimize the risk of persons transmitting the COVID-19 virus. Now, let me tell you the benefits of getting the COVID-19 vaccines. First, these vaccines are safe. Vaccines went through stages of clinical trials, meaning they are made to ensure effectivity and safety. Second, they are proven to be effective. The Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, for example, has proven 100% efficacy rate. So these vaccines can also help you avoid getting and spreading the virus. In addition to that, COVID-19 vaccines can also protect the people around you. That would be all. Thank you so much.
Okay, that is motion of the party who are in favor that vaccine is important. And now, let us hear the motion of the opposition.
Okay, I am Noe Bensurto and I oppose to their motion that vaccination is helpful and important at the moment. I'd like to highlight your statement about vaccination provide an excellent protection against the COVID-19. What we're experiencing now do not show excellence. We all hope for a rapid end of pandemic, and these vaccines have raised hopes that the pandemic is nearing to an end. Hopefully that is true, but there are some potential sticking notes of vaccine that I'm going to talk now. So the first one here, there is the long-term safety profile of the COVID vaccine. So this is questionable for me and for us because COVID-19 vaccine have received regulatory approval in recording shattering time. These vaccines are being distributed in uniquely short safety profiles on months worth of data are available. Short-term safety approved COVID-19 vaccine looks good. However, induction of anaphylactic reaction in some vaccine recipient hasn't helped the optics for those with vaccine hesitancy. But these cases are rare and usually associated with pre-existing severe allergies. 23 frail elderly individuals in Norway died shortly after receiving the Pfizer vaccine. It is difficult to ascertain the reason of this death, and they may have had nothing to do with the vaccine. It has put pressure on physicians in the country to try to determine which members of demographic or high risk for COVID-19 mortality should and should not be vaccinated. If too many unpredicted severe long-term side effects were to occur over time, this would be cause of withdrawal of approval for a vaccine. Number two concern is the effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccines. There are two public declarations of greater than 90% effectiveness of Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. Unfortunately, Pfizer did not publicly disclose the fact that there were large numbers of suspected but unconfirmed cases of COVID 19 that were excluded from their calculation of efficacy. This was revealed in summary report issued by the United States of Food and Drug Administration, or what we call the FDA. Reanalysis of the data with this new information counted for was performed by the associate editor of British Medical Journal, who reported the non-peer review findings in journals opinion and column. His estimate suggests that the true effectiveness of vaccine might slow as 19 to 29%. These can be confirmed and refuted until the raw data not included to FDA report are released. The effectiveness reported in Sinovac Biotech currently unapproved vaccine dropped to 78% early in clinical trial, being run in Brazil to 50.38% in late stages of the trial. That cutoff for approval of COVID-19 vaccine and has been set at 50% effectiveness. If efficacy during public rollouts end up being less than advertised, COVID-19 vaccine will underperform relative to expectation. Number three is untested COVID-19 vaccine regimens. Due to logistical challenges of rolling out two shots vaccine and with the goal of maximizing how many and how quickly the people can be vaccinated, single dose regimens combining the vaccine from different manufacturers and regimens alter the interval between doses are being considered. Note the efficacy of Pfizer's and Moderna vaccines only holds true beginning 1 to 2 after second shot. And using the recommended interval of dose, the performance of vaccines can be guaranteed if administered differently than the way in which obtain regulatory approval. Indeed, results of single dose regimen with the Pfizer vaccine in Israel were reported as disappointing, although this is being debated. The overall magnitude and or quality of immune responses could be compromised by lengthening the interval between the two doses. Deviations and protocols should not be tolerated unless backup of clinical trial data. There is no doubt we need an urgent end of pandemic. Economies around the world are crashing, governments are piling trillions of dollars in debt, and the US alone tens millions are without work or income. But there are still costs that we are too great, even though compared to such numbers. When we have the solutions to the pandemic in hand, we cannot risk the potential lives lost of rushing the COVID vaccine to market. We must hold dear central dictum of medical community. First, do no harm. Every life do matters to think, so think carefully. Trust that given the time science will deliver medical solution to perform of a vaccine or chemoprophylactic drug treatment. And in the meantime, let us immediately implement the public health strategies that we know will work today to drive new infections down to nothing. Thank you so much.
We both heard two parties' motions and research about the issue of effectiveness of COVID 19 vaccines. Now, for further explanations of both parties, let us hear their arguments.
So, hi, I'm Heidelin, and I am the one who answer your questions about the present process. So, thank you. I would like to answer argument about the effectiveness of the vaccine. Mention your question about the process. The data you gather was lack of study. As we all know, over the past months, millions of people in the US have been safely vaccinated. The FDA has fully approved the Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine and may fully approve other coronavirus vaccines in the future. The FDA and CDC continue to carefully monitor each of the authorized COVID-19 vaccines for the safety concerns. These organizations are being true and transparent. One example is that in April 2021, the CDC and FDA paused administration of the J&J vaccine so they could review data on a few reported cases of serious blood clot following vaccination with that vaccine. After this review, the FDA and CDC determined that the benefits of the J&J vaccine outweigh the risk of this very rare side effect and authorized vaccination with the J&J shot to resume. Similarly, after observing rare occurrences of myocarditis following the second injection of the Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines, the CDC released information for the public.
How sure are you that the vaccine are tested well before it release?
Well, before the vaccine released in different localities, the doctors and the government made sure the process. How? First, all vaccines go through clinical trials to test safety and effectiveness. For the COVID-19 vaccine, the FDA set high safety standards for vaccine developers to meet. This infographic from the National Institute of Health shows the four phases a vaccine goes through before it is released to the public. Second, if a vaccine or medicine is needed to address an emergency situation such as the coronavirus pandemic, once it is shown to be safe and effective, the FDA can grant in an emergency use authorization or EUA. An EUA allows a vaccine, treatment, or medication to be used before the formal FDA approval. Lastly, once a vaccine gets an EUA and is being given to people, the FDA with the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, continue to watch carefully to make sure no problems arise. Data on the vaccine safety record accumulates over time when more and more people who receive it report on their experience and any side effects they experience. One important way to report any adverse events after vaccination is through the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System. So I guarantee you that COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective. COVID-19 vaccines were evaluated in tens of thousands of participants in clinical trials. CDC continue to closely monitor the safety of COVID-19 vaccines, and if scientists find a connection between a safety issue and a vaccine, FDA and the vaccine manufacturer will work toward an appropriate solution to address the specific safety concern. For example, a problem with a specific lot, a manufacturing issue, or the vaccine itself. So that's all. Thank you.
Good evening, I am debater Randy. But how would you explain the 24 Filipinos who died after they got vaccinated? It was reported last 23 of 2021 April in Philippine TV and reported by the local Food and Drug Administration or the FDA. Later on, the FDA Director General Rolando Enrique D. Domingo told an online news briefing most of the 24 people who died had other serious illnesses. Of the 24 who died, 11 got infected with the coronavirus. 8 had cardiovascular or cerebrovascular illnesses. 3 had other infectious diseases, and 2 were still pending review. How is this possible that they are all died because of these illnesses? And after they got vaccinated, also, according to the Guardians, the Australian news, there were 356 COVID patients being treated in intensive care wards throughout the Australia of those 25 were fully vaccinated. So between June 16 and October 18, there were 61 deaths among fully vaccinated people in New South Wales. From a total of 479 COVID deaths, data provided the Guardian Australia was by NSW Health shows of the deaths in the fully vaccinated. All were aged 50 or above. All of those who died, 5 were in their 50s, 1 in their 60s, 17 in their 70s, 22 in their 80s, and 16 in their 90s. On Friday, the ABC revealed 36 of the 49 aged care residents who have died after contracting COVID during NSW's Delta outbreak were fully vaccinated. All had underlying health conditions or were in palliative care. In Victoria, 174 COVID-19 deaths occurred between 30 of August and 19 October 2021. Of these, 129 were not vaccinated, 25 were partially vaccinated, and 20 were fully vaccinated with 2 doses. Of the 20 deaths that were fully vaccinated, one was aged in their 50s, while the remaining 19 were all aged 70 years and over. While the data points the extraordinary efficacy of COVID-19 vaccines in preventing people from becoming severely unwell, being hospitalized, and dying, it does raise the question: why do a small number of people become seriously ill and, in rare cases, die despite being fully vaccinated? If you're going to say that it's their choice, if they wanted to get vaccinated or not. I would say it's not. No one wants to die. It's just that the governments and implemented it, even they are not sure about the possible effect to human. Yes, these numbers look small compared to the positive result of the vaccination. But when we will be alert, when the number gets high, that's it.
So again, good evening. I am Christine Pivelba, and to answer that, we do care about our life according to WHO. Globally, COVID-19 vaccines such as AstraZeneca and the Johnson or Janssen have been used to protect millions of people. There have been reports of very rare but serious cases of blood clots accompanied by low platelet counts, known as thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome, which called TTS, uh, occurring 3 to 30 days after vaccination with COVID-19 non-replicant adeno adenovirus vector-based vaccine, such as the AstraZeneca and the Janssen vaccine. With AstraZeneca vaccine, as of 15 of July 2021, the data shows that the symptoms occur in about 4 to 6 people out of every million vaccinated. This figure varies based on age, sex, and geographical location. Younger adults appear to, based on age, sex, and uh, yeah, geographical location. Younger adults appear to be a higher risk than older adults. More research is underway to understand more about how people may be differently affected. With the Johnson vaccine, as of the 7th May of 2021, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention had reviewed 28 reports of TTS out of a total of more than 8 million people vaccinated. It is possible that there are causal link between the vaccine and these symptoms, but more data is needed. TTS is very rare. However, blood clotting is a common health problem caused by many factors. Not all clots that occur after vaccination with AstraZeneca or the Johnson vaccine will due to TTS. The risk of blood clots is far higher from COVID-19 itself than from either vaccine. The benefits of the COVID-19 AstraZeneca and Johnson vaccines are far greater than the very small risk of TBS, as well as protecting you from severe disease and death due to COVID 19. Being vaccinated can protect you against complications from long COVID, provide some protection for your close contacts and community by reducing transmission, and can also reduce the risk of severe disease from some variant strain. WHO recommends that that these vaccines continue to be used to protect priority groups.
All right, so in these cases, if some people are afraid to take this medicine, they have the right not to take this vaccine.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Felicia Ferranda. As what I see right now, that is clearly not possible. According to Philstar, one of the Philippine news, a no vaccine, no salary policy that some employers are reportedly. My question is why our government and most companies here in our country need to force people to get vaccinated? I believe that vaccine has a brought disaster to our lives. We all know that Johnson and Johnson vaccine will be given to senior citizens according to my research. MU Health Organization, the vaccine was put on pause when health officials learned that a small number of people who received the vaccine experienced a serious blood clotting problem.
In addition to that, the duration of immunity is questionable. How long a person protected after being vaccinated? For previous vaccine, we could have reasonable confidence that immunity would have lasted at least a few years prior to the public rollout. COVID vaccine only had few months worth of data durations of immunity. If immunity declines before herd immunity, it achieved previously vaccinated individuals would become susceptible to infection again of the rollout, and the rollout could fail. Risk of variants can invade vaccine immunity. Several novel variants SARS-CoV-2 have been identified recently. Coronaviruses copy their genetic materials in a way that inherently induces the random mutation. If these mutations promote survival for the vaccine, for survival of the virus, if vaccinated in vaccinated people, it could spell disaster for the current immunization strategy. Although the risk of mutation that can invade vaccine included the immunity cannot be uh, accurately quantified, the way of COVID-19 vaccines are being rolled out will likely increase the potentials for this occur of at least two reasons. First, the current vaccine confer narrowly focused immunity that target a single viral spike protein. The means of SARS-CoV-2 only needs to immute one protein to invade vaccine induce immunity. In contrast, it would have difficult for the virus if it had mutate several proteins to become immune invasive. Secondly, the vaccination program is being rolled out in piecemeal fashion. This slow the expansion of narrowly focused in immunity among people who are surrounded by others who are immune provides the time and the contact with reservoir population. That virus would need to generate random variants that can probe the potential and infect vaccinated people. If variant emerges at that altering spike protein enough to bypass the vaccinated induced immunity, the vaccine rollout could fail. If this happens, the vaccine may need to be re-engineered to express a novel version of the spike protein, preferably with other option if added to the broadened immunity. Importantly, acquisition of natural immunity, which targets multiple components of the virus, may reduce the risk of reinfection rather, with the variants can be bypass spike protein specific immunity.
Suspending the vaccine rollout due to concerns about the extremely small risk of blood clotting is therefore likely to bring more harm than benefits to the general public's health. From a consequentialist point of view, suspending the vaccine rollout is thus morally wrong.
We all here are debaters. First of all, let's congratulate each of us. The pros team that vaccination is important. According to their proven and given statement, the vaccination is a simple, safe, and efficient approach to protect yourself from dangerous diseases before they infect you. According to them, the Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna vaccines were shown to be 100% effective in avoiding serious diseases. And also, the Johnson & Johnson vaccination was shown to be 85% effective in preventing serious diseases. However, the cons. According to them, vaccination is hazardous. According to their proven statement, the Pfizer didn't publicly disclose the fact that there were large numbers of suspected but unconfirmed cases of COVID-19 that were excluded from their calculation of efficacy. Pfizer did not publicly disclose the fact that there were large numbers of suspected but unconfirmed cases of COVID-19 that were excluded from their calculation of efficacy. In conclusion, in our situation right now, that the first option or the only choice is we have to take risk of being vaccinated or taking risk of the having vaccine. Are you going to take risk or be vaccinated or not? Okay, so again, let's congratulate each other. Thank you so much for watching our College of Education debate. Good night.